I have interviewed the CEO of AFRANGA, and in this interview, we are going to talk about how this platform, which is regulated, now works. We'll also discuss the types of loans it offers and the high returns we can achieve when investing with AFRANGA. Before we start, I'd like to invite you to our Telegram community where you can share experiences and opinions with other investors. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss more interesting videos about investments. Now let's get to it. Hello, Svetlin. Thank you for coming, joining us and answer our questions. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very well, thank you. I would be happy to shed more light about AFRANGA and our activity.
So let's start for that. For those who still don't know AFRANGA, can you give us a brief introduction to the platform?
Sure, I would be happy to do so. We started AFRANGA 5 years ago, right after COVID in the winter of 2021. And we initially started it as a peer-to-peer lending platform, very similar to Mintos, Peerberry, and the like. We worked very successfully for several years under that business model. And when the crowdfunding regulation came up a few years ago, we started working on becoming a licensed crowdfunding platform. And last year, well, actually almost 1 year ago, we relaunched our website and operations under the new licensed business model. And now we operate as a licensed crowdfunding platform, and we're actually the first platform in Bulgaria to obtain such a license.
So, what is AFRANGA's current structure and ownership?
AFRANGA is currently owned 100% by me. I am the person who founded the project. We actually started the company as an internal project to one of the associated lenders, Credit. I developed it internally with our IT teams and some other guys, and we decided to spin off the project into a separate company and to create a real European-wide competitor which accepts a large number of other loan originators as well. And so the AFRANGA company right now is 100% owned by me, and it operates as a limited liability company. It's set up in Bulgaria.
And now it's regulated platform, as you just say. What does that mean for the platform operations and in practice for the investors? Because there's no many peer-to-peer platforms that operate this way with this regulation.
Yes. So we welcome the regulation with open hands, and we were expecting it for quite a while, because it means for investors and for us as a business, it means better security, more predictability in terms of regulation, taxation, which are important things. Previously, the peer-to-peer platforms, especially particularly in Bulgaria, it was different market to market. But in Bulgaria, it was not a regulated activity, and we sort of were operating in this regulatory vacuum, which we didn't seem like it is sustainable over the long term. So we decided to take the hard road and become a licensed crowdfunding platform, which was a pretty long process that took us almost 2 years. And what this means for investors is actually translates into first, better transparency and more transparency for investors. We now have an obligation to disclose a large amount of data in a structured format for each company and for each loan, which is published on the platform. Investors can, it's called the key investment information sheet. Investors can go on our website and explore it, read through it before they make an investment, and they can see like loan details disclosed in this document, also financial data about the company, use of funds, and all sorts of useful information. So first is transparency, and the second I think the second pillar is more security for investors. So what changed dramatically was the deal structure. In peer-to-peer lending, investors typically buy part of a loan which is issued by a lending company to either another company or a private or an individual. And so you make a large number of small investments, like you can make thousands of investments into different loans. But this is a bit ambiguous in terms of what the loan originator actually owes to the investor. And we've seen that multiple times. When a loan originator gets into financial trouble or they default, it's very difficult for investors to recover their funds. The regulation fixes part of that problem. And so currently the structure is pretty straightforward. What happens is the investor provides a direct loan to the loan originating company, and let's say it's for €1,000 in 1 year. And then the loan originating company uses the loan for growing its business or for working capital. And so it's a pretty straightforward relationship. And the investor has a loan contract with the borrowing company, and so there can be no doubt as to what is the amount that is owed by the loan originator to the investor. So this provides us with more security in terms of recovering the funds of investors if anything goes wrong in an unfortunate event, which I think is pretty important. Another important change was that now we are using a licensed payment operator for handling all investment funds and transactions. And so what happens is when you register on AFRANGA, we get your personal data, we automatically send it to Lemonway, which are our partner. They're a licensed payment operator in France. We send your data to them via API, and they open a wallet for you under your name. So when you deposit your funds, let's say you deposit like €5,000 to AFRANGA, they're actually stored in a separate wallet with Lemonway under your name. Once you invest the funds in loans of the loan originator, we instruct Lemonway to send money from your wallet to the loan originator's wallet. And so AFRANGA never touches actually your funds. And we think this provides a lot of security to investors, because if AFRANGA ever disappears for some reason or doesn't succeed, investors will have the ability to recover their funds, and their funds will be repaid to their wallets. I think those are pretty significant changes that the regulation covers. And of course, it's the added layer of security that we are now being monitored by the Fiscal Regulatory Commission of Bulgaria, which adds an additional layer of trust, and we're required to disclose certain amount of data to them, and they assess our internal rules, and they have lots of checks in place to make sure that investors' interests are protected. So I think these are the major things which change in terms of our business model.
And since all these changes happen, as well, change that now in AFRANGA we can find different loan originators, because previously it was just one loan originator, but now we can find more. Tell us a bit more about that. How do you select new loan originators, and what is the criteria for that?
So we have developed a pretty robust analytical framework for assessing every loan originator. We don't accept every company which wishes to onboard on our platform necessarily. each company passes a large number of checks. I would say that our due diligence process can be broken down into pretty much 4 stages. The first is like legal due diligence. So, what's the legal standing of the company in its own market? Is it allowed to issue loans? What licenses are issued? Does it have any previous penalties or any issues with authorities, any AML flags, etc., etc. It's a pretty robust checklist. The second step is obviously reputational due diligence. We do reputational due diligence on the company, on the management. We check any adverse media. We check with counterparties which they work with. What's your good standing? And then the other steps, which are also very important, are we do a business and operational due diligence on the company. So we get a significant amount of internal company data regarding its loan portfolio, loan operations, issuance criteria, credit risk, credit checks, structure of the company. Basically, how we learn how the whole company operates in order to try and find any weak spots, assess the economics. Is the business has a very high chance of ongoing operations? Are there any hidden risks? How is the loan portfolio performing? So this is a pretty extensive process. We require a large number of internal data and internal documents, and usually it takes like several weeks up to a couple of months. We do a lot of interviews with the management and the people responsible for the different departments of the company. And we finally, of course, do financial due diligence in order to assess the financial reports of the company and its good standing. And once we collect this data, it is inputted into an internal scorecard that's developed by us. And we also take in all the qualitative data and the data collected during the interview processes and through the documents, and we make a decision whether to accept or reject onboarding a company on AFRANGA. And after that, of course, we assign a specific credit limit based on its size and potential. So if it's a relatively small company, obviously it's not going to be able to raise a lot of funds from AFRANGA initially, and we're going to monitor its development over time. And based on its development, we're going to assess that decision, whether to increase the credit limit or reduce it or keep it the same. So yeah, it's a pretty extensive process that's usually painful initially for the companies, but it's worthwhile. And this is necessary because we want to, obviously, we carry the responsibility to protect investors' funds. So it's not something that we take lightly.
Mm-hmm. And which loans originators are available right now? And how do you handle as well, like demand and offer?
Currently, we have 6 or 7 companies onboarded on AFRANGA. Obviously, so we opened the platform for new companies to join last year. So that's why we're building the number of companies gradually over time. We're very cautious in how we do that. We don't want to list a large number of companies all of a sudden because we want to make sure that we conduct a proper risk assessment. We currently have 6 or 7 companies. Most of them are from Bulgaria. We have only one Czech company. It makes sense to be from Bulgaria because this is where we are based. So this is our domestic markets, and it's easier for us to reach out to companies and to assess their risk. And we understand the market a lot better. But over time, we're evaluating other markets as well, and we're in discussion of bringing several companies this year on board on AFRANGA from across Europe. So yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and a bit about how do you handle demand and offer? Because sometimes there is enough investors, there's not enough loans. Sometimes there is a lot of loans, but not enough investors.
Yeah, this is very challenging process because it's always the chicken or the egg problem. So we work with the borrowing companies, and we obviously monitor the number of registrations by investors on the platform every month. We work with the loan originating companies in order to understand their cash needs over the short term, over 6 months or 12 months. And so we do some planning on how much loans are published and when, at what interest rates or maturities, in order to balance out the supply and demand and build it gradually over time. It's a bit of a tricky process.
Mhm. What type of loans can we find right now in Afranga?
Right now, you can find loans anywhere with interest rates ranging anywhere from 9 to 14% per year, and with maturities from 12 to normally 48 months, and in some occasions up to 60 months. Uh, the way the loans are structured currently on Afranga, and each loan originating company has flexibility to decide, but interest rate is repaid every month, and the principal is repaid upon maturity. So it's a bullet payment of principal. So if the loan is for 12 months, you invest your 1,000 euros, you get your interest rate every month, and when the 12th month comes, you get interest rate and principal, and you can reinvest it, obviously.
And right now, you already explained us that we are borrowing the money to loan originators. This is how we have
Yeah.
the loans. But what these loan originators to who they lend the money?
The loan originators, depending on their business model, they lend it either to physical persons or to companies. Some loan originators provide financing to growing companies, which secured against assets, and some loan originators lend out either personal loans to private persons or mortgages, or even car loans. So we have a pretty good diversity of loan originators and underlying portfolios who have different business models.
Mm-hmm. So we are somehow diversifying in different kind of loans.
Yes,
Not in the loan
exactly.
itself, but in the final uh, for what it.
Yes. So the underlying loan portfolios, which are against which are secured investors' loans, are diversified, mixed of different assets and asset types.
And what is the minimum investment?
The minimum investment starts from 10 euros on Afranga. So if you're a new investor that first hears about crowdfunding investing or even about Afranga, you can register quite quickly and just deposit 10 euros from your bank account. You can try out for a few months, and then you can build your portfolio gradually over time. So it's a pretty accessible service for everyone. And this is part of our goal in order to democratize investing for retail investors.
Mhm. And there's no any fees.
No, there aren't any fees for either for investing or for withdrawing funds. We generate revenue purely from the commissions which we earn from our loan originators. So investors have zero cost.
Mhm. And these loans, what type of collateral or guarantee backs these loans? Or is there
Mm.
any payback obligation? How does that work?
So this is another benefit, I would say, of the regulation, because in the past, well, traditional peer-to-peer lending platforms, your investment is secured by the loan claim, which was issued by the loan originator to the, let's say, the end borrower. But this doesn't provide a lot of security to the investors, because typically in a legal dispute, the end borrower has already repaid the funds. The loan originator probably has used the funds for some other use, and it hasn't paid it to the investor. And so you have to prove in court, like, actually what is owed to the investor. And this is a pretty challenging process. And with the regulation, what happens is you provide a company loan to the loan originator, and then the loan is secured with all of the company's assets. And so if something happens and we need to initiate legal proceedings, the company is responsible with all of its assets in order to repay this loan, basically, which offers an additional layer of security to our investors.
And how do you handle defaults or delayed repayments? I believe so far there's have been none, but I imagine you have.
Yes. Thankfully, we've had, like, for the past years, there were no delays or defaults. And this is obviously part of the result of our very strict internal risk measures and controls which we have in place, and part of the due diligence process and the way we select loan originating companies. I hope we never experience a default, but obviously we have a very elaborate internal framework on how we can deal with such an event, and we need to make a distinction between a soft default and a hard default, and that would obviously determine our approach and how we assist in collecting investors' funds. So a soft default would be when the company has experienced some short-term financial trouble. It is an ongoing business. They will be able to continue, but they just can't repay maybe the interest rate or the capital at this very moment. And so what we can do in this example is we can negotiate with the loan originating company a repayment plan. We'll go over their finances, assess their situation, and come up with a certain repayment plan. Obviously, this is not ideal for the investors, but our effort here is to recover 100% of the amount. And a soft default is actually the better scenario. A hard default is when the company stops any repayment and refuses to repay, either because it's undergoing bankruptcy or some other financial trouble. And in this way, the process would be to, of course, we will try to understand the situation, assess it, reach an agreement. But if it's not possible, we can take legal actions in order to recover the funds for investors. And that would be, in my opinion, a little bit easier process with our current setup than with peer-to-peer lending, because we have specific loan contracts in hand which we can show to court and wire transfers against those loan contracts.
So what do you think AFRANGA is different from other peer-to-peer investment platforms?
Interesting question. Well, I think one thing that differentiates us obviously is the crowdfunding license, which adds a layer of security. Another differentiating factor is our background in actually consumer lending and consumer finance. And so even me personally, because I have spent the last 10 years as being part of one of the bigger consumer lenders in Bulgaria and building other lending companies as well. And I would like to think that I have passed down this knowledge within AFRANGA, is our understanding about the lending business itself and the underlying risks. And I think that we would be able to assess the loan originators in a better way than most of the competitors due to this fact. This should be very important for investors because ultimately it defines the risk on the platform and it provides more security for their investments. And I think this is very important considering all of the recent scandals and defaults and frauds for the past like 3-4 years, which we observed after COVID. There were many platforms which disappeared basically. And I think this will guarantee our long-term success for AFRANGA.
And what are the future plans for AFRANGA? Is there any new feature, product, or loan originators?
Of course, AFRANGA is still a young and developing project, and it will never stop developing. So this year we've prepared a major website redesign and overhaul. We're going to change the way AFRANGA looks and feels, and we're going to improve the user experience and user interface on AFRANGA. We also plan on launching the secondary market. We have prepared a lot more simplified product for the retail investors. And of course, what we're working on every month is bringing more diversity in terms of loan originators. So you should expect to see more loan originating companies join AFRANGA this year as well.
What about how to invest or any tool that make easier to invest?
Yes, we are working on that, and the investors should hear about it very soon.
Very soon, like in the next few weeks, months,
in
year?
the next few weeks. So we're going to announce it.
That's really, really good.
Yes, and it's not going to make it easier for investors to invest their funds, but also we're going to provide some additional liquidity and safety by providing an early exit option for investors.
Like a secondary market?
The secondary market will be separate, and this early exit option will be built into specifically in this product. But I don't want to give out too many details. And probably by the time we release this interview, the product will be launched, so everyone will hear about it.
Okay. So what would you say to someone that is considering investing in AFRANGA for the first time?
I would say start slow. Remember that those types of investments, they're not very liquid. It's not something you can get out of very quickly. It's a long-term investment, depending on the loan in which you have invested. The minimum term usually is around 6 to 12 months. So make sure that you invest cash, which is an amount which you're not going to need very quickly, very soon. It's something that you can spare and you can put it aside and to sit around and earn passive income from it. And also, not regarding AFRANGA specifically, but more a general recommendation. It's important to remember that when you invest in loans, in credit, the most important thing is to protect your principal amount. So be very smart and careful about it. And diversification doesn't always bring results. investing in credit is not the same as investing in stocks, where the larger number of investments of companies you own, the better or more like even your performances. With credit, selecting the proper investment platform and the proper loan originating company to which you give your money to is very important.
Okay, I don't know if you want to add anything else to the interview.
I think we covered the most important aspects. I'm very, very excited to grow AFRANGA, and I really hope that we will become a European-wide platform and will become the first choice for investors across Europe. So I welcome your audience to register and give it a chance, explore it, and we're open to any questions or suggestions. Everyone can always submit feedback on our website, and we review all the feedbacks. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now that you know more about AFRANGA, if you want to start investing, if you sign up using the link I've left below in the description, you'll get a welcome bonus of 0.5% of everything you invest during the first 90 days. And if you have any doubts or any questions, leave them down below in the comments. Also, tell me what it is that you like about AFRANGA, if you're already investing or not in AFRANGA, or if you plan to start investing. Or if you prefer, I invite you to participate in the Telegram community where you can share your experiences and opinions with other investors. Before you leave, I'd like to ask for a like, a thumbs up, which makes me happy and helps the channel to grow. And I'd also like to invite you to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on more interesting videos about investments. See you very soon.